Hi guys, so today we're going to be taking a look at a historical dogfight. We are taking out the MiG 21 in Syrian colours against my good friend DeWinds, who's going to be flying out the Mirage 3 used by the Israeli Air Force. This is a matchup that actually happened multiple times between Syrian as well as Egyptian Air Forces against the Israeli Mirages in the 1967 Six-Day War and the 1973 Yom Kippur War, before Israel phased out its Mirage 3s for later domestically designed upgrades like the Dagger or Kafir. So you all know the MiG 21 of course, but the specific variant we are looking at today is the modernised MF model from 1970. The MiG 21MF is a third generation variant of the legendary Soviet fighter interceptor, with the new Sapphire radar and upgraded engine, as well as the ability to carry R-60 missiles. This is definitely one of, if not the most heavily exported variants of the Soviet MiG 21, and was supplied to the Syrian and Egyptian air forces as an upgrade to their existing fleet of MiG 21 F-13s and PFMs in 1971-73. This influx of aircraft after the defeats suffered by both nations in the 1967 Six-Day War gave them the confidence to launch preemptive strikes against Israel with some success. However, due to relatively poor training and limited range, the Syrian MiGs were frequently caught off guard by the Israeli Mirages in the Mirage, resulting in numerous gun kills going to the Mirage. This didn't stop 3 Syrian pilots from achieving aces against the Israelis, mostly in close-range dogfights and gunfights due to the poor range and reliability of both the MiGs and the Mirage's radars at the time. The iconic Mirage 3 was first supplied to Israel in April 1962 and first saw combat in the Six-Day War of 1967. The Mirage proved highly capable in the role of air superiority fighter, as well as seeing limited use as a fighter-bomber, assaulting Egyptian and Syrian airfields and destroying many of the Arab MiGs before they could even take off. Those who could were quickly dispatched either by the Mirage's missiles or more frequently with guns, resulting in heavy losses for the Egyptian and Syrian air forces during the war. The Mirage was known for its durability and advanced avionics, however its Serrano radar did have problems with overheating after prolonged use in the hot Middle Eastern climate. This meant that Mirage pilots actually preferred getting in close to the Arab MiGs, resulting in frequent merges during which the Israeli pilots found the Mirage's controls to be somewhat stiff. However, the great visibility of the Mirage's cockpit and stability and manoeuvrability at high angles of attack would lead to the majority of fights ending in victory for the Israelis. With France placing an arms embargo on the country after the Six-Day War, Israel was forced to adopt domestically produced variants of the Mirage 3, such as the Dagger, in order to supplement and upgrade their fleet, until the adoption of American F-15s and F-16s to the late 1970s. The Mirage 3C, however, was still in prominent use during the Yom Kippur War, where it was frequently used to escort the F-4 Phantoms, which proved far more capable fighter bombers. The Mirage 3 was at this point showing its age compared to the newest versions of the MiG 21, however it had plenty of tricks up its sleeve, and pilot skill was generally the deciding factor in the outcome of a dogfight. This video is brought to you by supporters like you. Thanks for helping me keep the lights on. Alright, so we're here in the Syrian MiG 21MF. We got my buddy DeWinds over there on the Mirage 3C. He is going right down for the deck. I'm going to want to use the altitude in this fight and just try and climb above him and see if we can abuse that Mirage's lack of energy retention in a vertical fight. The last thing I want to do though is drop too much airspeed, because when we do that, I've lost him. I've still got him, but I can't spot him there. But as soon as we drop below about 650 kilometers an hour, this thing just turns like an absolute bus, and the Mirage is just going to have every advantage over us. He's trying to force me to come down to the deck though here, which is a smart idea provided I don't put this first shot on. I'm going to try and manage the closure here. And he's going to turn left. We're going to lag behind that turn. Nope, he's going to try and reverse it. So he wants me to come across in front of him. And as long as we don't overshoot here. Manage the closure. And no, he is just going to put the brakes on so easily on us. Oh, I might have had a shot there. he goes, and he just drops energy so quickly. The good thing is in this turn he can dump that nose. And I'm a Delta 2, my guy. Let's see how this works. Oh, perfect. There goes his wing, splash 1. Alright, so what happened last game? I don't think he's gonna fall for that a second time. Mirage does like to fight on the deck. Right, there's the Mirage. We're gonna come around here for 2-circle fight. He's gonna try and do the same and come up underneath us here. See, the Mirage does like to fight the MiG on the deck, because as soon as this thing loses its speed, it is just an absolute bust. He's gonna reverse here. I shouldn't be doing this, but I think we have enough altitude to play with here. I can force him to come up like this. And then he's going to lose his energy doing that. I've still got plenty of speed to play with. Oh, long range shots there from the cannons. Now his 30 mils are going to wreck me if they hit me. As long as we can keep him firing at long range, I've still got time to dodge them as they come in. He's going to try and rope us down to the deck, and once we get down there, we basically have nothing left to answer him with. He can beat us in a 1-circle or a 2-circle down there. What we want to do is keep forcing him to come up at us and lose his energy. And then try and snap that nose around quickly enough, because I'm a Delta 2. I can drop that nose. We're going to do that here and try and get around his turn. Gonna stay above his nose. Keep him cold. But I want to be very careful about dropping any more altitude down here. Oof. Close, but not quite. And now I'm starting to lose a little bit more speed. This is bad. This is bad. We're at low altitude, low airspeed. As long as I can keep gaining airspeed, but I've not got a lot of altitude now. And he's just got such a high angle of attack on me here. If he keeps trying that, he's going to run out of ammunition. I think I am racing him here, though. So he just has to keep dropping that nose, and once he runs out of altitude, he's going to have the same problem we do. He might have us here, though, if we're not careful. Very lucky dodge there. He should probably have had me there. Thing is, because he's over the plateau right now, I've got a little bit more altitude to drop. I can do this, but we are screwing up the turn now. And here he comes. Lead him up. And now he's got no altitude to play with. Now we're at very, very low airspeeds. I want to put the air brake out, I want to drop the afterburner. I want to do everything I can to make him overshoot here, and then back on. And once he can drop that nose... Oh, if he's got enough energy left here. I shouldn't have done this. If he has the energy... Nah, there we go. That's better. This I can control. And every instinct is screaming at me here to try and reverse him, but he's just going to have me if I do. What I'm going to do is actually try and go for a little bit of a acceleration here. Ah, good shit, dude. Alright, so let's try something a little different this time. What the Mirage has been doing is just dumping its nose and immediately dragging us down to low altitude where he has just every advantage he could possibly want. So we're going to try and retain a little bit more energy here in this turn by not turning quite as sharply. He's gone around for that 2-circle engagement, and where is he going to be? He's going to be right at our altitude. This is actually what we want. I'm just trying to pull not too tough on the throttle here and lead him up. rather than him diving down for the deck, at which point there is just nothing I can do. He's got a little bit of distance here, which is bad, because he's going to have the energy to put one of these shots in. And if you guys have seen the last dogfights we did on livestream, Dowens is really good with these long-range shots. Once we start getting in closer, then we can kind of jam his shots, and he's just going to drop that nose. What we're going to do here is I've been trying to avoid doing this. We're going to shock him here and just drop the nose with him. I missed a potential shot there. And he misses that one, and we're going to put the air brake on, come off the cans. We want to manage that closure on him, and then we're going to get out of here. And we're just going to extend away from him here. And this is a gambit I was nervous about taking, but I think it may actually have paid off here. We've got a ton of energy on him, because he's been pulling hard to get that nose on target, and we've just been able to stay along. I did try and put that shot in initially, and we screwed that up because I overrolled, which the MiG is prone to do, so that is kind of exactly the problem you have to deal with in this particular fight. And he's going to try and shoot me from a mile out, and those rounds have no velocity by the time they get up to this altitude. And now he's going to go for see, he's pretty much in a stall right now, and I still have a ton of airspeed to play with. And now I'm going to be the one to drop that nose. I'm not letting you do what you want to do. So he's going to drop it now, and he's going to lose all of his airspeed doing it, because he's going to try and come around as quickly as possible. And now I have the vertical turn on him. And this is where we want to be. It's not such a close range rate fight in the MiG 21, because as soon as we get down to those low altitudes with the MiG, he extends away for distance and there is nothing we can do. Here, we actually have a fantastic situation here. And I'm gonna commit here. I really shouldn't be, but I think we may have the chance. And we have a little bit of a forgiving position. Perfect. And that is how you deal with a Mirage. Alright, so one of the best parts of Growling Sidewinders videos, which these are sort of designed to pay homage to in a War Thunder sense, is the TAC view, which we don't have in War Thunder. It's something I've always wanted, but that is a third-party software that kind of lets you take a bird's eye view of the fight you just fought and analyse each manoeuvre, have a look at each aircraft, and that works for a bunch of flight sims. It might be coming to War Thunder in the future, but for now, what I thought we could do instead is have a look at the replay. So as we come in with the Mirage for the Mirage here, we're going to be going about Mach 1.05, and we're immediately setting up for what is called a two-circle fight. Now that means, if we have a look here, if we just imagine we were at a bird's eye view, my aircraft is going to be coming around like this from the Mirage, and his is going to be coming around like this. So we're heading away from each other. That's going to create separation, and if we continue these turns around, we're going to have, as you can see, a two-circle fight. If we'd have both turned different directions after the merge, that would have put us in a one-circle fight. That's going to be a much closer range fight, and that's going to be all about angle of attack, whereas the two-circle is going to be more about energy management and turn rate, and that is what we want to do in the MiG 21. The MiG is going to have an engine power advantage over the Mirage, which is going to have the advantage in angle of attack, especially when he dumps that nose. A delta wing aircraft like the Mirage, a tailless delta, is going to have a huge advantage as long as he has the altitude to dump that nose. And of course we start these fights at a nice high altitude, so he has all the room in the world to do that, and I want to stay away from that aircraft to prevent him kind of getting that advantage and sticking to my 6, because once he's there, there's nothing I can do. I go for the 2-circle. De Winds immediately notices what I'm doing and puts his aircraft straight into the vertical, and that negates that advantage that I'm trying to get over him before we can even get it in the first place. And he immediately flips his aircraft back over, trying to stay close to the MiG and trying to transition us into a 1-circle fight. Now, we have a relatively sizable energy advantage over the Mirage here as he comes up to my altitude. We are at a solid 700 kilometers an hour. He's going to be all the way down at 400. So we have quite the energy advantage over him. The only thing is, I don't have the room to put that into effect. As he reaches the top of his turn, we are actually beating him in the rate fight here, but as long as I can keep it as a rate fight, and I can't do that when we're this close to the Mirage, he is just going to immediately pull that nose in, and look at that angle of attack he's got. He actually almost managed to put rounds in here. Instead, he's going to dump that nose, try and pull the nose around, and I shouldn't have done what I did here. What I should have done was, as I came around this turn like this, the Mirage has had to pull down. He's thinking that as I come around here, he's going to be able to pull his nose on like that. Just by dumping that nose, he's going to pull around this turn more quickly than I can, whereas he's actually going to be quite a lot lower down. As soon as I drop this nose, I'm putting myself into a vulnerable position when I really didn't need to. If I'd have kept this turn going around, we'd have been much higher above him, and I could have just gone around, completed one more turn, and probably had a positional advantage over him. As it turned out, this did work in our favour, but it was a much more risky manoeuvre. What I decided to do is drop the nose with him, and that was something he definitely wasn't expecting, and he was quite caught off guard by it. I did actually manage to hit him in this pass. It's unfortunate that didn't translate to a kill, but well, that's how it works sometimes. And immediately you see what the Mirage does, is it just puts that angle of attack advantage to work. And this is exactly where I don't want to be in the MiG. He just has that huge advantage in a close range fight. I mean, look at that. That Mirage is horizontal as we are not even slightly pulled out of the dive yet. I'm still facing right towards the ground, whereas he's already got guns on target for me. And that is just what the Mirage does. However, he is bleeding a huge amount of speed doing that, and we are just collecting more of it in this dive. He wasn't able to hit me in that turn because I kept my nose above him, and now we have an advantage that we have the room to put to work, and this is exactly where I want to be. I've transitioned him down towards the ground without allowing him to stay close to my 6. He is on our 6 at the moment, but he's far too far away to put that to work. And unfortunately, I was a little in the wrong position to be able to transition us into a 2-circle rate fight, which once again, that means if we go around like this, and he's coming around like this, that is a 2-circle fight, and that's going to basically transition into a turn rate fight. The thing about these fights is they never stay the way you set them up, so a 2-circle fight is going to naturally devolve into a 1-circle where one aircraft is going to try to reverse the other, whereas a 1-circle fight is going to naturally evolve into a 2-circle fight when one aircraft tries to pull away from that turn as soon as they feel like they've got the room. And that would be me in the MiG, because that is definitely what I want to do. I need room to fight. I want to stay away from the Mirage so that he can't put that angle of attack to work and stay on my 6, and I need engine power over the Mirage. I need speed over the Mirage, because I'm never going to beat him in the turn. And this is where I would have loved to have been in a MiG 21 SMT or a MiG 21 BIS, because we would have had more of that thrust to weight advantage. The MF trades that off for a little bit of turn rate, but not nearly enough to compete with the Mirage on its own turf. So what I've done here is I've actually turned this aircraft over way too early. If I'd have built up, we had a little bit more speed to play with in that vertical, and I could have gone up a little bit higher, trying to get at least 2 kilometers or slightly above 2 kilometers altitude over him, and we could have come down right on top of him, which is what I did a little later. But unfortunately in this turn, he's able to just cut that turn a little short. Instead of diving down and going down here like this, all he had to do was cut that short and come around here, and he's able to stay away from my nose, and I didn't have the room. I'm still diving down to the deck, and I can't pull that nose on target quickly enough. He's not going to be able to hit me in that. That was kind of a Hail Mary shot right there. But all I'm going to do, we still have the energy advantage over him. We are slightly above him, but as you can see, 680 kilometers an hour to only 600 kilometers an hour. So we definitely have an energy advantage over him right now. Unfortunately, we've transitioned away from a fight on the deck. We're way back up at altitude, as you can see, 18,000 feet here. But in the MiG 21, now that I have this amount of room to fight, and we are in a two-circle fight here, you can't quite tell. It's a little bit weird to give those call-outs in a vertical, but I'm coming over here. If you imagine, like, this is up, this is down, I'm coming above him right here, I'm diving down as he's coming up, and we're in a two-circle fight like that. And now with such a position over him, he's not able to do the same thing. He is trying it there. You can see him trying to cut that turn shot as he sees that I'm coming down on top of him. He's going to try and pull that turn around instead of just continuing to dive down and let me get on his 6, because once I get there and we can transition into a rate fight, he's never going to shake me. And unfortunately, I would have really loved to have shown you guys that, but DeWinds is just a little too smart to allow me to get that position on him. But with such an energy advantage now, at 920 kilometers an hour compared to only 500, so we have a huge amount of speed on him and an altitude advantage, and even if I'd have missed this shot, we could have just come up and done it again. As it happened, there was no need. Beautiful shot there, and there goes the Mirage. And that is one way you can deal with the Mirage. Like I said, I kind of made a mistake in diving down with him in the first place. It was a gamble that paid off in our favor, but I would definitely not recommend fighting a Mirage like that. However, I would not recommend merging with a Mirage and a MiG 21MF in the first place, but that's exactly what these fights are. Anyway, I hope you lads have enjoyed this video, maybe learned something from it. I know a lot of you were requesting more of these dogfight videos, and they're quite fun to do. I've also been doing a lot of these dogfights against viewers on live streams, so definitely come check us out on Twitch. If you're not following, you want to be part of that, you know what to do, links below. And as always, keep a whiskey to hand, and I will catch you guys on the battlefield. If that was an F4C, I'd have been dead right there. Oh shit, I'm out of rounds. Oh, I didn't even notice that. I'm gonna have to try and maneuver kill him now. I ran out of ammunition trying to spray those long range shots down. Okay, he's gone down. Good.